All right, you want to start.
I'm done.
Yep.
Everybody quiet, we are now, it's Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, 9 AM. We are calling the Crook County work session to order. Okay. Brian Barney is on vacation, so I get to be your chairperson this morning. We're going to open with, is there any public comment in the room? Okay, Mike Irwin.
Remember, I told Brian to not ever do that again.
He forgot. He forgot. And is he on, like, he is not on the screen, so he cannot even comment back to you. So what can I say? We'll try for a better time today. Okay, is there any other public comment in the room? Is there any public comment on the screen? You will have to raise your hand so Sarah can unmute you, or do you have to chat?
Either or, since I
Okay.
trust these names.
Okay, seeing none, we will move to the first item on the agenda, which is approval to accept an ODHS grant for backup generator purchase at Crook County Library for $164,000. The requester is Sarah Beeler, our library director. Hey, Sarah, take the floor.
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to bring this to your attention. Back in 2021, Katie Plum obtained an ODHS grant for a new HVAC system. And as part of that process, the Crook County Library became a heating, cooling, and clean air space for the community. That was $115,000 back then. This is $164,000, and ODHS continues to work with us in a partnership that could be beneficial on into the future. This grant for $164,000 is not just for the library building and the library staff. This one is for the community to have a place to come and recharge during times of emergency. What else? Man, I'm whipping through this. Okay. The question has come up about annual inspections and maintenance and the cost for that. And I think James is going to address that in just a minute. I believe one of his bids covers annual inspections for a couple of years that they threw in for free with one of the vendors. It is, I'll let him address the cost, but after a period of time, you know, if that becomes an issue, I would take that out of contract services. So again, this is for the community. It's not just for the library department and staff. This one is a little bit larger impact, and the community uses it for heating, they use it for cooling, they use it for fresh air, and they would use this in an emergency if they needed to recharge.
You still do have, though, the fresh air that is already established in the library.
It's a wonderful machine, and if all of a sudden you're overwhelmed with odors, we just flip that on. Yeah, but you can actually breathe in there during wildfire season if you need some fresh air. And people come in and hang out because they need that.
And I believe the fairgrounds has one also.
I don't know about the fairgrounds, but we love our machine. There were a couple floating around in the county, so. Anyway, get it, James.
So we went out to bid, we received two bids that were fairly close, about almost $30,000 difference on them. One was for a Legacy Blue Star at Cochran Electrical to do the install at 146,237.80. And the other one was a CAT unit at 175,394. The difference was the Legacy is a John Deere unit with a different generator on it. It's a 250 gallon tank compared to 200. The service on this for us outside of the free service for the first 2 years, I would figure would be about $5,000 a year for us to do the service on it. That's annual PMs from the outside vendor, and then our facility group. This is a diesel generator, so it has to be run 30 minutes per week. We do a visual, so it's one guy, 1 hour a week to go do that. If We would also be doing yearly samples of the coolant fuel. If there was anything that started happening with that, we'd have to do a fuel polishing on it, which could run about $1,200, I think, for somebody to come out and polish the fuel. And then with the 250-gallon tank, it'd be about $800 to fill it up. We'd keep that after running 30 minutes every week. We top it off at 3/4 tank, so we always were full. So there's that expense. And then, we'd also have to build a fence around it, which we'd be looking at about $3,500. The pad and stuff is covered in the bid, both bids. And then also the pick to land it. So that's what we have.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to add to that, Sarah?
We have until December of 2026 to expend the funds. And so, because they first initially offered us $80,000 and we knew that was about half of what it was gonna take, we declined that offer very nicely. And then they came back and said that another entity had declined it and, that they offered us $164,000, which is right in the ballpark. It's not something that we would normally be able to afford in our budget. And so this is a nice opportunity to move forward for our residents.
And it's about 40 weeks lead time on that unit, then probably at least 3 weeks installing.
Okay. Okay, so when I saw this on the agenda, I read everything and I asked a lot of questions. And obviously, Sarah, you know how much I think of you. And you know how much I think the library has become very vibrant in our community. And I commend you all the time on the way you handle the library. But the library is one small piece of Crook County. And I have to put all the pieces together. And we are entering some very, what do I want to say? We have to be very, very careful with our money. And we have to look at our core services. And we have to be very careful with the core services that we provide. And we have to be very careful because in December of 2027, we have a bond payment due. And in June 2028, we have another bond payment due, and again, and again, and again. So I am projecting out 5 years. And I need to be very, very careful. And so I think we all, as a county, need to look at our core services very, very careful. And I really like your programming. I really like your staff. I think we're in a very, very good place in our library. So at this time, to add something that needs fuel, to add something that maybe we're not sure that we maybe have to add a sub panel to, because at one time when you came to us, we were looking at a $249,000 price tag, because we are not sure of the kilowatts, you know, that maybe this won't provide for the whole library. We have the Broughton room, we have the Juniper room, we have the Sage room that we provide for the community at no cost. That's a really community service that we provide that I don't want to really see that we have to do something with. So in my way of thinking of what we do provide in core services and what we do provide already, I am very hesitant to move forward with this, just because I am looking at the whole county as a whole, and that is my attitude of going forward. I'm very, very hesitant, even though this opportunity is tremendous. I'm just scared to bite off more than I feel that we can take right now. That is my opinion. Seth?
Yeah, I've talked with James and Will, and I have similar concerns. I think it's really important, and I echo what Susie said, that you're doing a great job down there, and there's a lot of really, best run library I've seen in my 14 years of being there. It's just some of these extras. I think it's important that we make sure we're not putting ourselves in a position where we're gonna have issues in other places. And I'm sure you've heard the same thing, that the dollars are tight here as well as in all counties across the state. And I think we just have to be frugal with our dollars, and thank you for putting all the time into this, but I think it's not the right time to add something like this to the library.
Okay, well, I appreciate you hearing us out and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in the future.
And I do, I just think you are doing a tremendous job, but I look at my home county. Last year, they were $15.4 million in deficit, and this year they're $33 million in deficit. And I don't wanna be that county, and I went to a concert last night and I thought about this during the concert. I want you to know, this has really taken a lot out of me since this came. I didn't make this decision lightly, but I am looking at all of us as a whole, and I think I just feel that this is the right path. And God help me if it wasn't the right decision, but this is what I think is right now. And Sarah, I really do commend you, and I really appreciate your innovation and what you have done for our library.
Thank you. I'll get over it.
I just want you to know how much I think of you. I really do.
Thank you.
Doing a great job.
Yes, you are doing a very great job. Thanks. All righty.
Do we need
So,
to make a motion to,
I guess because this won't, how do we do this, Eric? What do we do properly?
Yeah, so, what I am understanding is that the Board of Commissioners does not want to move forward with approval of the, ODHS grant. I don't think if what the county wants to do is not take action, that you need to have a motion. We will reflect in the minutes that the county decided not to take any action.
Okay, and again, thank you very much, Sarah. Okay, so now we will be moving on to item number 2, which is CAFA grant status update. A request for commissioner signature authorization outside of meeting, and our requester is John Solis, our county assessor. Hey, John.
Thanks for the
Take it
intro.
away.
I guess I won't have to say who I am, but,
Okay.
yeah. So good morning again, commissioners. You guys, have heard this story before each year. It's kind of a requirement that we, fill out a CAFA grant, for revenue to be received by the county and all departments that are involved with assessment and taxation. So those departments include like your finance office, the IT department, GIS, county clerk, and then obviously our office itself. So these funds kind of get distributed and allocated to each of those departments there. So the first due date is tomorrow. So I need a signature from one of you, probably maybe later today or by tomorrow. And if the grant has some issues with it, with what I've supplied, they give me a 30-day window, to fulfill the request or what have you. So I will remark that, I've been in touch with the state quite a bit the last few days, trying to wrap things up, and they have said this. I thought it was a good compliment. Your application seems spot on year over year with minor clarifications asked. I appreciate your time, effort, and efficiency with the annual application. So it usually goes pretty well for us. We are sitting pretty darn good this year with the monies that we are receiving. On my end, for my office, it's covering 12 to 13% of that budget. Keep in mind that the CAFA grant has dwindled over the 30 years that it was, the inception of it all. Good morning. And so anyhow, at this point, we are definitely on target to make my budgeted, estimate for the year and then some on top of that. So, so this is our next round for the next year. So I don't know if one of you will be available.
happy to do it.
Later today,
I'm
tomorrow.
gonna be here today, so whatever.
Okay, will you guys be here tomorrow as well?
Yes, do we need to make a motion as
Sign
far
out
as the
for it.
signature?
I'd make a motion to sign the CAFA grant status, or CAFA grant outside of our meeting.
So, John, for your purposes, would you need both signatures or just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I might suggest is that the motion reflect that either Commissioner Crawford or Commissioner Hermrick would be authorized to sign on behalf of the county.
So moved.
I second that motion.
Awesome.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hermrick, aye.
Thank you. I'll check in with you.
Motion passed. Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Third item is our Crook County Emergency Operations Plan Review and Update. Requester is AJ Crawford. So there you go, AJ, move
No,
on.
no relation.
No relation.
No relation to said Crawford. All right.
Well,
I will
any
make-
no nepotism going on here. Totally
Make
separate
that
families.
very clear.
All right, so this is something that we have to update every 2 years, have repromulgated every 4. The last promulgation was in 2019. So we are playing catch up a little bit to get this up and established for the county. The changes that were made over the last couple months since my review is changing it from county court to board of commissioners in the language. We've updated some mapping. We changed the Annex D, which is mutual aid agreements. Instead of filing those in there, they're now short paragraphs describing what they are, who they're with, and then the actual copies are up at the EOC. So we're trying to make this a more user-friendly document. In talking to Will before we came in here, there are a couple other single word things that need to be changed. I think there's 4 or 5 of them that still say court, which is easy enough to change. And then, looking at doing some more updates over the next couple of years to include Will's position within it. And moving into a direction that more solidifies a whole community approach rather than 18 different emergency support functions. So similar counties like Benton County has moved to what's called community lifelines, which is 8 core functions that encompasses the whole.
Okay, and Will and I, we were discussing that possibly instead of having the commissioners sign this letter of promulgation, I don't know, I'm not very good at phonics, so I may have slaughtered that we possibly take the commissioners' signatures off and move this to the county manager signing this. So Will, do you want to weigh in on what maybe changes that we would make to this plan?
Well, I chatted with AJ before, as he mentioned, and I think there's just a couple minor kind of cleanup things. I think as AJ mentioned, they're gonna be looking at doing some updates over the next couple of years. I think that's a really good opportunity, given that my position is new, to make sure that we're not missing some efficiency opportunities, and not putting more on the board than is necessary if there's opportunities to create some efficiency. So I would just recommend that over the next couple of years, we take a hard look at that and make sure that, given the newness of my position, we're taking advantage of that as a part of the emergency operations plan. For the time being, what I would recommend is we put this on the agenda for next week, so AJ has an opportunity to update a few of those remaining references to county court. And then we'll work on getting that next update to better reflect the kind of current status of our government structure.
So would you like this moved to discussion, or would you like this moved to consent? I feel that we need to move this to discussion again, because we are making changes.
That's fine with me.
Is that,
Yeah, that's
is that agreeable to you?
Yes.
So we will put this on to
Do they have next
discussion,
week, Wednesday?
okay?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I'm interested in having a conversation, but I think we should also make sure that we're not taking that out of the hands of the voters. I don't know what that entails with declaring an emergency or different.
I don't think it would touch necessarily declaring an emergency. It would, I'm envisioning it's like a communication kind of thing and just making sure we're moving as efficiently as
Yeah.
possible.
No, I'm happy to add you to the equation, but I don't think we should take the commissioners out of the equation. And maybe I misunderstood.
No, I'm not-
Well, so last year, when I was in county court or whatever it was at the time, the fire marshal called me up to the emergency and asked me to declare because Paulina was in threat, and it was the fire marshal at that time. And so I did, because it was the state fire marshal and that was the way it was. So I feel that bypassed basically your position because it was the state fire marshal. Am I correct in that?
No, the declaration will continue to come from the Board of Commissioners. All of that is still in there. And I can't speak for what happened last year. I wasn't.
I know you weren't there, but
Um,
I mean, I was called and it was the fire marshal and Russ DeBooth. And
Right.
those were who I was really a very new commissioner, and they terrified me to death. And they said, we need to do this, and so I went on, obviously, their recommendations, so that was what I felt. That was kind
Yeah,
of
but I
what
mean,
I
again, I
felt,
think
so
that's
I felt that
important
that
to
was kind
keep.
of I felt that their authority kind of surpassed anything. I just felt that they surpassed it, in my opinion, but.
But I mean,
maybe
that's where
I'm
we have
wrong.
good advisors and.
I
We
have
have-
Sheriff got me.
Okay, there's, okay,
So I'm going to go ahead and unmute him in a second.
okay.
I clicked the button, I swear, guys.
Sean,
I know.
looks like he's muted. We're trying, John.
But it doesn't go away the moment I click it.
Is it John maybe not unclicking?
He may have to once I ask him to do it. I'm not sure, but I. John, are you there?
You got his hand up.
I know, that's why I put my hand up for you guys.
Bill, do you know what John wants to say?
Nope, there we
Oh,
go.
he's here.
Okay, here we go.
I had to get my technical advisor in here. There's too many buttons on this thing.
Okay, John, we're ready for you.
Okay, so I had two comments or a couple of comments. One is it's the commissioners who make the declaration of an emergency, and therefore I think you still need to be the one signing the EOP. It doesn't hurt for Will to be involved in that and should be involved in that. But the decision is based on advice from the sheriff, the emergency manager, and the fire service as a group to you as to what needs to be or when we need to declare an emergency. So, but I think, and I don't think, I know the EOP calls for the commissioners to be the ones who make that call because it has to have your signature on it to make it official. So I think you still need to be the one signing the EOP. And if you want Will to be on that as well, then that would be fine because he will have a copy of this EOP as well. So.
Yeah, that was my point, is I think there's jobs we have to do. And,
Okay,
you know,
no, I'm-
some of them
No,
are difficult.
I'm totally fine.
We
And
gotta
I want to
take care of
clarify.
our responsibilities as commissioners and.
What I'm recommending is over the next couple of years, we go through the plan and find potential efficiencies to help wherever I can
100%.
with it. But as far as declaring an emergency or signing the EOP, that's, I think, fully on the board.
And
So,
again, this was a new process for me as a very new commissioner, terrified, shaking. So yes, whatever we need to do.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it
all
has to
for
have,
the
it has to have
efficiencies.
has to have the commissioner's signature before it can go to the state for a state declaration.
Okay, thank you very much, John.
You're welcome.
So do we then need to put this on a discussion, or do we just need to go ahead and do consent? Because will this remain?
What I
Exactly.
heard Will say was that there was a couple, what Eric likes to call Scribner errors. It's not major changes, and
Okay,
I think we should just put it on consent as long as the commissioners are still gonna be the ones signing off. We're not changing that. So, yeah, I'm fine with just moving it to consent, and if somebody has a question or comment about it, I'm happy to, kind of like we have in the past, if people are questions or concerns, they're welcome to flag it and bring it up.
and do you feel they're minor enough, AJ? I'm relying on you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, then we will just go ahead and move it on to consent, okay? Is there any other comments you'd like to make at this time, or will?
No, thank you.
Okay, then we're good. Okay, so next we have item number 4 is USDA Aegis Wildlife Service Agreement for the landfill with Jackie Davis.
Jackie is on
She
Zoom.
must be on Zoom here somewhere. There you are, Jackie, way up
There
there.
we go.
Good morning.
Morning, Jackie.
So the landfill has an agreement with USDA APHIS Wildlife Services that is up for renewal. This is an annual agreement. It allows the USDA to perform services at the landfill to minimize wildlife conflicts, damages, and also manage our bird deprivation permit that we are issued by the US Fish and Wildlife. I just want to note that the USDA was in a work session earlier to present what they could offer Crook County for services, and this is completely separate. This is just for the landfill only. So this agreement is for services not to exceed $15,300, which is only $300 more than last year's agreement. But I'm just asking if the commissioners are willing to sign the agreement so we can continue services here at the landfill.
I am.
So as far as this can be, go ahead and be put onto the consent agenda, Eric.
I don't see any reason it couldn't.
Okay,
Is it time sensitive, Jackie?
It's for services to begin July 1st, so I just need it signed before then.
Okay, perfect.
so we will just move this onto the consent agenda for you, Jackie.
Perfect, thank you.
Alrighty, thank you very much for all you do, Jackie.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now we are going to move on changes to the application process for Museum Advisory Board with Sean Briscoe.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. So currently, the Museum Advisory Board only has 3 active members out of its 7 possible positions. As a result, the board lacks quorum to convene and conduct official business, which includes reviewing and approving new applications. So in light of this, I am asking the Board of Commissioners to consider amending the current process of reviewing and appointing new members. Specifically, what I propose is that the executive director, myself, be temporarily authorized to recommend applicants to the museum for the Museum Advisory Board until quorum could be reached so they could vote on new applicants.
Okay, so I have an idea, and in order for us to modify and complete our public meeting, is to modify the process to call the public meeting to review the applicants, which will include our county manager, yourself, and your already what you have. And then that would comply, you would have a quorum, and you could go from there. So how would you take that advice?
That sounds perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
and first we were thinking about putting a commissioner on there, but that really wouldn't be a good idea because commissioners are the ones that would go ahead and approve. So does that sound like a good idea to you?
Did you have a chance to run it by?
No, it's on my list. I will before.
Yeah,
So that
I'm
was
just,
what we were
I'm just
thinking, that
interested
would
in here,
be the
making sure that
Public, that would be our public meeting
Yeah.
process.
just as long as we run it by the state, whatever
Yes,
that group is that
yes,
talks about public meetings
Yes.
and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm totally on board because it seems to me like it would be the most public possibility of the process.
Okay.
Most transparency and allow people, but I just want to make sure we're following best practices.
and Eric, what do you think of that idea of having Will and Sean and then 3 members, and then they could review the applications?
I don't see anything that would prevent that from happening. The trick, of course, is always just trying to corral people into a time that's convenient for meetings, but there's nothing new there.
So how do we go ahead and, if this is a recommendation from us, if this is proper and legal, is this advice we give, or do we need to make a motion? How do we move forward with this recommendation?
Maybe,
Yeah, so your order for the normal process is, if I remember the number, 2022-52, and it gives the authority to the Board of Commissioners to adjust the normal process under specific circumstances. And here's a circumstance which I think justifies going against the normal process, because the normal process assumes there's going to be a quorum of the advisory group, and there isn't. So I don't think that we're in a situation that is at all unusual. What I might suggest then is simply a motion for the board, and get it memorialized in the minutes, saying that for this appointment process, the manner in which the board would like it to be handled is that there be a committee composed of the 3 current advisory board members, the museum director and the county manager, to review the applications and to make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners as to who should be appointed to the Museum Advisory Board.
I'm very interested in that. The only thing I would add is, I think it would be worthwhile if we do find out that this is the right steps to take, best practices in this situation, that we change the ordinance, because we've already had 2 this year where we didn't have a quorum in a committee. And maybe we don't have to do that maybe today, but I think we need to look into adding that to our ordinance. Just a caveat, if there's not quorum, then this is the process that you use to move forward, just so it's right there on paper for people to follow. And
Could we do that by the next meeting that we convene? Our next meeting that we have next Wednesday? Is that something that we could do so that Sean could have direction by next Wednesday?
But I think you can make the motion today for the Museum Advisory Board. He has some timelines, because the Museum Advisory Board needs to meet to review the budget for the museum. So I'd stick with the motion.
yeah, I'm fine with making the motion. I was just adding on,
Okay.
so moved, but
Yeah,
so moved
okay.
with the caveat that I think we should
And I agree.
find, again, like we've talked about, this checklist of
Yes, I agree.
things, one of the things, I mean, not to go too far off subject, but we talked about starting to, best practices to record every Zoom meeting and then have them up online by 3 days. There was some interest, it seemed like, to get that done. I just really like to see some of these things start getting kind of wrapped up and packaged and move forward, so we have a plan as we move forward, but I'm super comfortable with the
Making
motion.
that
And the only thing I would add to that is, and have Will check out and make sure that it is through the state best practices, and once that's, so,
But Sean has a timeline.
did I make it
because-
too convoluted to vote
A
on
little
that?
bit, but Sean has a timeline because of the budget, and this is a process that we can get this done in our timeline. So if you would basically so move on
So move what Eric
Eric's
said,
original motion.
only adding that it is something that Will has a chance to check out and make sure that it is best practices from the state, and that there's no issues there.
Yes, and I will second that motion. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hermrick, aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Sean, very much. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to initial discussion of order 2025-11, ordering the fees to be collected by Crook County for fiscal year 2025-2026, and I believe that's our finance director, Christina Heron, who I think is, she's up there on the top right. Christina, take it away.
Good morning, commissioners. This is your first look at the requested changes for the county fee schedule. For fiscal year 26, you have 2 exhibits. Exhibit A is the final exhibit of what the fees will look like. Exhibit B shows you our prior fees for this fiscal year and the changes between fiscal year 25 and 26. Anything that changed, whether it was wording or a fee, is highlighted. You'll notice a few fees that were added that do not have fees from last year. We wanted to make our fee schedule a little bit easier to read and added fees that were already called out in an ORS to the fee schedule. So there was more of a comprehensive look at the fees that were being charged that the county doesn't have control over and are in an ORS, but that way a taxpayer or somebody who's using the fee schedule can look at the fee schedule and have a more comprehensive understanding of the fees that they're paying, even the ones that the county doesn't have control over. So you'll see most notably that there were some increases in community development as well as in the landfill. Happy to talk through any ones that you have questions on. There is one item that we just caught this morning that will need to be fixed on Exhibit B, page 15. That in the middle, it talks about an on-site fee with $100 surcharge. And that should be a $117 surcharge. The fee above is correct. That wording just did not correct it. So we would like to correct that before it goes for approval next week, if there are no other items that are requested to be corrected or updated.
And it is my belief that this is a first reading of this fee schedule, or will the first reading be next Wednesday in public, and then the second reading will be another public? Okay, so this is our first reading. Okay,
So, because this is an order, not an ordinance, we wouldn't technically need any readings.
so next Wednesday will be the final adoption of this fee schedule.
If that's what
It
you
will
like.
be the public hearing, yes.
Okay, alrighty, so I ask all of you, all the public, to look at this, and if there is any public comment, to be sure to notify us. And do you have any comment on any of these public fees? No comment? Okay, so again, I think we place this on discussion in case there is any comment for next week. And there is no further discussion. So moving along, we get to our support letter for Route D, Pacific Course Blueprint South Transmission Line. We have Will Van Vactor.
Yes, so in your packet is a draft letter in support of a specific route for the proposed blueprint transmission line that comes up from Southern Oregon. Route D, which is the one the letter supports, takes advantage of existing power line transmission lines, ensures delivery of power to Crook County. I think it makes the most sense logically. I think Commissioner Crawford, you expressed support for Route D at a prior meeting. So this letter just kind of carries forward that opinion that Route D is the best route for that project. And I know John Eisler's here. I know he's serving on sort of a committee of folks who are, I believe, advising on potential routes. So he may have some additional information to share, but this is a draft letter. I believe the deadline to submit letters is May 9th. So we have the option of just putting it on consent, because I understand Commissioner Barney will be back for next week's meeting. But if you would prefer to get the letter out, we can take his signature line off that draft letter and we can get it out this week.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do, I'd like to get it done sooner than later, just to get it forward. I've heard from lots and lots of people throughout the county, West Palmetto Estates, Rosada Ranch, a lot of these other places. And the other fact is, the other options don't directly bring power to Crook County, which we're in desperate need of. And so you're following the existing route. It really just makes a lot of sense on pretty much all levels. So I'm very comfortable signing today if you are, Susie.
I am, but do you think, because it's due May 9th,
I believe that's the deadline for.
do you feel it's stronger?
Isn't it May
Do you
5th?
feel that it's stronger than if it's the three commissioners?
I'm fine.
That's,
That's-
otherwise we have to say not present, and I'm just wondering, I just wonder if it is.
I'm not super passionate
Is
either way. I would
is
like
it
to-
May 5th is when it's due?
May 9th
Will?
is when it's due.
May 9th? That would be my only question. Does it look better that, I mean, I understand we have to put non-present for Brian, and I'm sure he would sign it if he was here. I'm just wondering,
I don't
Is-
think there's any benefit to getting it in early, as long as it's in within the deadline, we go with all the other
I'm
comments.
just wondering, does it look stronger that the three of us are united on? That's
I'm
my
fine, I'm
only
fine with
question.
you. I'm not,
I'm just,
I just think it's.
united front, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just a silly
We've got a
comment on
plan,
my
let's
part.
move forward. But, yeah.
I'm either way.
So we can just put it on consent for next week, unless you have any changes to the letter you'd like to see.
Yeah, if it doesn't make, I just would like to see all three signatures, because it just seems it's stronger in my opinion. You have any comments further on this?
No, I mean, the letter it states our preference. I think it wouldn't hurt to have all three commissioner signatures, and like I said, I don't see any benefit in sending it in early, so I'm okay with it being on consent with all three
Because we could
signatures.
send it the afternoon of the 6th, as soon as we sign it, let's get it off and.
As long as they're by the 9th, it'll be part of the record, so.
Yeah, okay, that's just my opinion, is we're all in alignment, okay. Okay, so moving on, it's consent agenda, so guess what, we have planning commission vacancy with John Eisler.
That's me. So I understand our process is to, when there's a vacancy, we come and just notify you guys, and so, we got a resignation from Shelby Duncan, he was one of our new commissioners. And so, I'm notifying board, we already have the notice ready to send out again for the next round. We did just finish a round for, Cal's position. We got 6 really good applications. I'm really excited to take a look at these.
They are wonderful.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am just so excited of all the quality that we got.
Yeah, so am I.
It's amazing.
And
I
so
think we're really lucky to
Yeah.
have somebody.
we have,
interested.
we have meet and greet set up next week, but yeah, it's a really important position. The planning commission does, it's a huge and important role for the county. And I'm very pleased with the applications that we got for that one, and, looking forward to seeing kind of what we can do with that pro tem position to make sure that we don't have any issues with quorums and make sure we have a really good bullpen of people on deck. You know, it is hard scheduling and making sure that we have everybody there. We want to make sure we have 7 instead of 5, be my preference. And so, yeah, so I'm notifying you Shelby had to resign, and we are going to advertise that. I think advertisement has it running through June 10th.
Yeah.
And so anybody that advertised, applied this round, we can, if they want to, we can push our application forward. So anybody that's not selected will be then a candidate for this next one as well.
And you're gonna tell them they can just keep their app in and their letters of recommendation, because perfect.
Mhm.
They are just, I read them and they are just so good. I'm so
It's fun
excited.
reading that, right?
Yeah, I am very excited.
So I'm hearing from people online that it's not very loud. Can we increase the volume on their end, or here, is there?
We have Christina speaking how loud on our end. You may have to just,
I think
Speak louder in the
was
room.
Oh,
on their,
okay.
on their side. Could people raise their hands if they're having issues here?
now you're muted. What did you do, Will?
Nothing.
Will? Will's touching my owl.
Why would you touch it?
I was seeing if we could turn off the volume. The microphone.
Kiss of death.
Oh, it's over here on this side,
Changing
but,
from-
That's our volume, but I was thinking this.
oh,
I
okay.
thought you had to do that one.
Yeah, no, that's just the mute button.
Just one day. mute.
So as everyone heard about the planning commission and that we're about rolling over the applications, everyone online heard that,
And that's if they wish,
if they wish,
if
yes.
they wish.
And how excellent the applications are and how happy we are. Okay, so now we're moving to Community Development Monthly Update, and guess what? You're back on, John.
Yeah, get my buddy Randy up here this time.
Okay, come on, Randy.
Good.
So with building, you can see we've issued 16 new house permits this last month. We're 186 total, commercial was 39, other residential type permits were 108. Which again, those are like you just mechanical plumbing, not a building. 22 residential shops. If you look at our overall from last year, we're up just a little bit. I mean, we're still slow, but again, it's more of the average year, the last 2 years without the bigger projects running. Still overseeing about 173 houses right now that are currently under construction. 743 other types of accessory residential buildings and 249 commercial permits. With those, we're still averaging just under 1,000 inspections a month for our team. We've got, as you guys seen, both apartment complexes are about ready to get going. The big lumber packs have showed up, Matters Highway. I think, You know, they still haven't got their underground civil in due to the water conditions there. It's been a challenging site to get the sewer in. So I think that's a little delayed as they're trying to get that in. We're finishing up working through some last comments at the Ochiko lumber. The buildings there were too big for the construction type, so they found a way to propose some firewalls to essentially cut those buildings in half. With like a fire rated wall. We've got another 9,000 square foot commercial building coming in on Gardner Road. That would be, at Quisenberry's, it's the Q2 tent, and, you know, they've got their septic pumping businesses on it. They got a few businesses that they're gonna be running out of there. We also got another 30,000 square foot arena on O'Neill Highway. And then the Crooked Tails vet expansion came in since, these are a couple that have came in since the report, since there's a little bit of a lag, so. Figured if you guys see some activity or questions, especially.
That same O'Neill Arena, that's where they're adding the new arena, or is there another location?
There's a new location, so you've got the commercial one that they've got at kind of at the Y up there, where they're holding some riding events and stuff.
Training and such.
This one is actually west of that. I don't know if you're Barbara Goss's property in there. It's just west of that one on the north side. So, it's just right in there along that flat. So we'll see what's going on there. They've applied to planning as a training, you know, equine facilities. So we gotta work through some details there, but other than that, we're gonna starting to get real busy on inspections once everything kicks off. And then those duplexes behind Ray's, obviously they're doing excavation, getting their water and sewer tied in. That's why that road's blocked, into the city. We got a pre-construction meeting with the Hopidin, which is the data center up on the hill. Terry and I are gonna go meet them at 1:30 today, to discuss, you know, plan procedures, inspection procedures, that type of thing. Kind of get that thing rolling off smooth. And then, I don't know if you guys seen the activity there at the beginning of town by Gee's. That'll be a new little tap house. So we're getting ready to get that one out the door as well. So that'll start construction. But, you know, talked to Josh, not a ton on the city planning front, but as far as commercial, I mean, that's kind of one thing that's keeping us, even though their apartments are residential, they're commercial permit, but we're staying busy as far as our work goes.
Randy, on the planning side, planning is still busy. We're still up. We've been up every month this year, almost 50%. So 30 applications this month, year to date 85. We're above last year. We're still, I think, like on the regular territory when it's not boom or bust. Staff has been really busy. We have a lot of exciting applications that are coming down the pike. On the land use applications, there's kind of been some updates. This was from the end of March. So first one, Ross Solar, or the Moffett Solar, that's been rescheduled. So that's going to be heard by the Planning Commission May 14th. Hagley is basically done. Floodplain code update, you guys heard that a couple weeks ago. You're gonna hear it again at the second reading at the next regular meeting on the 7th. Lester zone map amendments also on May 14th. We have West Prineville is gonna be coming to you guys May 21st, and TSR North exception will be coming to you guys May 29th and June 18th. You guys are also gonna be hearing Green Bar again on May 6th. And then the DoD military overlay, I think they're coming for the next work session to kind of give you guys an update, and then we're going to be scheduling that for July and August. And then on here still is the UGB expansion. That's not scheduled right now. I think that the next city meeting on that is going to be May 13th, and then we're going to kind of see where things go from there. And not a ton on the city side other than the UGB application. Other than phase 3 and 4 of Iron Horse.
And then the military overlay is gonna come to us on April. What is the military overlay? That's the one that Ann's working on.
Yeah, that's gone through the planning commission. There's a little bit of uncertainty with schedules and timing, with the federal employees, and so we're don't have the dates locked in. We have dates reserved for you guys, but I'm not sure if those.
I
are
see in August as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
On-site still, been kind of slow. It's been a little bit slow this year. I know that, you know, interest rates are 30-year fix is hovering near 7%. So, residential is kind of slower. But historically, we're kind of where we've been for the past couple of years. And then on code compliance, Lewis is busy as always. He's opened 13 cases in March and closed 6. So.
How many total open cases do you have?
I don't know at the moment how many he has. I thought on these reports, right? Stumping.
Want me to ask some more questions?
No,
Okay.
not from you.
are code compliances kind of starting to level out a little bit, or are they still kind of staying out? Because
They're staying pretty steady, and there's a variety of issues that we're dealing with. But there hasn't been like the focus on certain ones like there has been, so
there hasn't, okay,
Yeah.
so they're kind of tapering down a little bit,
spreading out, I guess.
okay.
Usually in spring, everybody's out there cleaning their yard, so they get tired of the neighbors' junk and looking at it for a period of time, or they want to start construction projects, so sometimes during the spring, it can increase, especially with nuisance cases.
Do you tell them that they should buy their neighbor's property if they have a problem with it?
As Scott Cooper used to say, is you move to the problem. But
I was thinking more aggregate plants is what I was thinking of. I don't think they're gonna buy the aggregate plants. Okay, all righty, okay. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, all righty, well, managers report, you're on, Will.
Yeah, I just have one quick thing. Oh, my battery died. We received an email from AOC. They are asking to use Crook County, or they're asking multiple counties if the counties are comfortable with them using their logo on a letter in opposition to Senate Bill 916. And Eric, I don't mean to punt this on you, but I think we've chatted a little bit about 916. That is the bill that allows striking union members to recover unemployment. Am I correct? Is that?
That sure sounds familiar.
So I know
An awful
that
lot
my-
of bills we're tracking.
Yeah.
We will check right now.
But I believe,
That is exactly what it
I
is.
believe, and I believe you guys have written
Yes.
individual
So-
letters of support.
So
or
Seth was
opposition.
on spring break, so Brian and I both sent letters of opposition to Senator McLean and to Vicky Breeze Iverson. We were not allowed to upload opposition testimony to OLIS at that time because it was too early. So Sarah, 2 days ago, I think,
Monday, yeah.
did upload our opposition to OLIS. So that has all been recorded at that time. So now they're asking for our seal. So my question would be, we have opposed it, it's on OLIS. We have opposed it to the senator and the representative. So can we just give them our seal, or do we need, Seth and I need to make a motion because now we're putting our seal at AOC? So that would be my question. How do we do it the cleanest? Because obviously we've opposed it. So
Yeah, fortunately, I
how
don't
do we
think
do
this,
it clean?
this does not need to be particularly ornate. And the request is for AOC to be allowed to use the county's logo on their letter of opposition to this bill.
Yes.
So we're not putting words in their mouth, they're not putting words in our mouth, they're just saying,
We are opposed to it.
yeah, Crook County, by virtue of the fact that Crook County's logo is there, that shows that they support AOC's position.
Yes.
So I think probably this is overzealous, but you might just make a motion to approve the lending of Crook County's seal to AOC for the purpose of a letter of opposition to Senate Bill 916.
So moved.
I second that motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
All right.
Hermrick, aye, motion passes. Okay, that cleans that up.
All right. thank you. We will get the logo
Okay.
to your AMC. I believe it was at the last board meeting. It was noted that Congress was on recess, but there was interest in submitting another letter in support of SRS. So I just want to note that I heard on the radio this morning, they're back from recess, so we will have a letter next week for the board to review to support that effort, that ongoing effort.
Yes, which we have been plugging, and Seth has been in Washington DC plugging.
Yeah. So I actually I have a quick update on that. It sounds like it has made it into the reconciliation bill. That's the bill that they're pushing right now to manage the budget and get things moving forward. And so as of now, it is currently in the bill, and pretty good news for us. So the other one that I heard is in the bill, which I think is really cool, is they're gonna start doing 20-year timber contracts in the national forest. And so everything I've heard is anything after 50 years, you can really start to invest in infrastructure to cut trees once you get a project of that length. So
When the check's in the mail, all counted in. But
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully, okay.
but I'm just saying, I mean, it's a better step than we've had
Exactly,
in the past.
Exactly.
And
yes, I agree,
you know,
I agree. Okay,
coupled with the Trump's administration's willingness to start authorizing the 25% timber tax to the counties. And I think Congressman Bentz is gonna start doing a bill to put that for sure into the future. Those things, I agree with you, you can't count your eggs until they're hatched, but at least there's some eggs coming out.
yeah, they say there's eggs in the nest. Okay, any more?
No, I just want to note Christina and Jamie are working super hard on the budget. The proposed budget should go out, I believe, end of this week. I know they're trying to get it out to the printer today, so stand by for that. Really appreciate all the work they're doing on the budget right now. So that's all I have this morning.
Okay. Do you have anything else to report?
I mean, again, nothing concrete, but I've been working we've been working really hard to bring the fair dollars, increase on the fair dollars, and that's sounding pretty positive out of Salem. That would increase the 1% that we receive at the fairgrounds to a higher percentage, and it looks like we would bring in 160 to 200,000 a year to the fairgrounds, and that, you know, every little bit to try and fill any gaps. But yeah, that's, I mean, again, nothing, it hasn't passed, but it is at least is still on the table, and there's some really positive feedback from Salem.
Good. Okay, so my commissioner report is I have been asked by Mosaic to write a letter in favor of the $4 million bond. And it's a state bond that they are trying to do to develop the Connors campus in East Bend for completion by the end of 2026. They are asking for our support. And I feel that it would be very important for us to support this, because once this is established, they are going to want to join in with us in coordination for a public health center that would be built on St. Charles's property in accordance, public health and Mosaic. So I am asking for a motion for us to sign this so that I can give this to Elaine on Friday at our meeting, and this would be going to Senator Lieber and Representative Sanchez. And again, it is in support of the $4 million bond. So I asked a motion for us to sign this on behalf of Crook County. Will you second my motion?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion?
Well, you moved, you need a second then.
She seconded it, didn't she?
No, I moved.
He
Oh,
moved
you
it.
moved, okay.
Unless
I
you're,
sec-
unless you're having a movement on your own.
No, I'm not having any movement. I second the motion. Any discussion?
No.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Those in, Those in favor, I've lost my train of thought, those in favor?
Aye.
Herrick, aye. It's been moved and seconded and voted on, motion passed, okay. All right, there isn't any public comment, but do we ask for, it doesn't say on here, but do we ask for public comment?
Susie, can I have one thing I
Okay.
missed in my.
Oh, that's
manager's
it,
report.
you can't, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you
next
missed your-
week,
you missed
sorry.
your thing. Not
You're
taking-
part of the public.
Yeah. Well, this is for the public, so, the administration, department is gonna be sending out, I think 2,500 postcards to random residents, as part of a survey effort to gather information that we can use for our key performance indicators that will go into the final budget. In addition to those random postcards, there will also be a live, survey, online, and we'll have a link to that. That's available hopefully later, this afternoon. So, just a heads up to the public, anybody interested in completing, it's a super short survey. We're just looking for some quick feedback that we can utilize in our, as part of our key performance indicators, in the budget document. So just a heads up on that.
All right, is there any further public comment? Yes.
Well, I just applaud you with accolades for realizing that DE is the way to go. Personally, it drive across my property at sea.
Well, thank you. It seems like it's a sensible way to go also. It's common
is.
sense, finally, yes.
Yeah. I have a specific interest, but then generally it makes sense.
Exactly. Sometimes government doesn't always do that, but in this case,
So thank you.
hopefully they listen. That's the next thing we need to do. I know you agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just say ditto.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Well, thank you guys for coming.
Any other public comment? Now, Mike, you can't leave without a public comment.
Well, you already had one, remember?
Well, we'll give him two. Just.
One at the beginning, one at the end.
So there is no answer for this, and I'm not sure we want to even discuss it. It's something to think about.
Okay.
The county sheriff's office comes under the auspices of the county, or the
Yes, Board of
Board of
Commissioners.
Commissioners. And I'm seeing, there's a lot of cohesiveness around the sheriff's office and the officers, and not only the sheriff, but the city police and the state and so on. And it reaches out even further than that. It's a different county, Crook, Jefferson, Deschutes. And I'm seeing that the sheriff in Deschutes County has been put on the Brady list. And I don't know if that will have an impact in the county, and I think it comes down more to the cohesiveness and being able to work together. Because when you're put on the Brady's list, you are basically neutered as far as a law enforcement officer. You can't testify, you can't do anything other than sit at the desk and run wages. How can that happen? Will it, can it, if it does, how can that have an effect on Crook County? Just something to think about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a very good point, and I think we're very, very lucky to have the quality of sheriff that we have here in Crook County.
And that flows all the way down.
Yes, it does.
And
Yes, it does.
I hear, having gone through being involved with the Citizens Academy, I'm seeing more of the relationship between departments and counties and state, and I guess I'm a little concerned how that's gonna involve us or curtail some of the things we can do because of that.
Are you in Citizens Academy right now?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I did it the last time. It's very educational.
we got 2 more.
Yeah.
Then we're done.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome. Anybody that hasn't gone through the Citizens Academy, please do.
You sound like me. That's what I was saying. I was preaching to the choir there. Okay. Okay, anybody else? Sir?
One further, just a note, I was late because I was over at the other place because I didn't read the email,
Okay,
but Ken Smith was there,
yes,
you know,
yes. We've had him in a couple meetings.
well, and he wanted to be there, but then somebody came down the street, a nice gal in a white pickup and said, oh, that meeting's been canceled.
Oh, I'm
And so
sorry.
he went home and I thought, well, I'm gonna go, because I looked up the email and found
Sure.
203, and so I thought, well, I'm gonna go over and walk in the door, and that's, well, but anyway. He didn't go to the right place either. But he went home after he heard it was canceled, so
I'll make sure to reach out to him.
I'm just.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, and thank you for sharing that information. I'm very sorry. Okay, already, is there anyone online that would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
All right, this meeting is adjourned, and thank you all for attending.
Sorry, I didn't answer your call. I was about to get.
Yeah, we're trying to find out where this was really.
Hey, Randy,
Where this.
can I grab you? I got a chocolate.
Sorry, Saturday.